What's up, everyone, and welcome back to NZXT the Gamers channel. And today we're going to be doing Black Myth Wukong, checking out latency, checking out frame rates, checking out power consumption, and also checking out our settings, presets, and going over the optimized settings for the game. And without further ado, we're going to go into our settings now. Running everything at 4K, and we're going to be using the cinematic preset with DLAA just to get a baseline. Alright, so that's going to get you about 29 to 33 frames per second on average, and about 64 milliseconds of latency. We're creeping up into the 70s now, 75 just there. Power consumption is just at about 500 watts. GPU temperature is closing in on 70 Celsius. This is a playable frame rate, and I do say that with path tracing and everything on. It's definitely a beautiful scene. It's just barely playable, but we're going to definitely be going over our options and our tools to increase our frame rates. "70 milliseconds I would consider probably just a touch past what I would consider comfortable as far as input lag. And DLSS quality definitely gives a generous boost to performance, getting almost about twice as much, I would say about 2.5 times the frame rate as DLAA. As far as image quality, didn't really go down much, if at all. I can't really tell the difference. And frame rate's at about the 50s now, which is definitely more playable. 1% lows are standing at around 42, 43. Latency at around 42 milliseconds, which is plenty fine. And GPU power is at about mid 400s for 40s, for 60s. And GPU temperature is able to decrease from where it was at before at about 70 Celsius. So definitely an improvement. And so next we're going to be testing DLSS balanced to see what that can do for us. Alright, so now we're at DLSS balanced, and this gives a really happy medium, in my opinion, with performance and image quality. Not really going to see too much of a difference at all from DLSS quality. And our temperatures are climbing, well, I should say they're dropping down a little bit further. Now we're in the lower 60s as far as GPU temp. GPU power consumption in the low 400s. Which is closer to where a 4090 would be, and latency is also able to get down into the low 40s and the high 30 millisecond range, and we are getting closer to a solid 60 frames per second right now. Can't quite do it just yet, but we are definitely a lot closer than we were before.
Mercy, good sir.
Now with DLSS performance, we are running DLSS 4.5, so this is the new preset M. And with preset M, you are going to notice a little bit more noise, especially with foliage and sometimes with hair as well, especially on ray trace titles. If you can look at the ground right now, you can see the shadows are just a little bit more noisier than they were before. But besides that, you are looking at 70 plus frame rates right now. GPU power consumption closer to 400, latency in the 30s and the low 30s, so that's really snappy. And the image is still very stable. You just have to keep an eye out for that noisy shadows and foliage. So now we're going to be activating frame generation 2x mode on top of DLSS balanced, just to boost our frame rates and keep our latency nice and low, as well as keep image quality as good as possible. Getting about 100, between 110 and 120 frames per second now. Latency is still excellent in the mid 30s, so frame generation really did not add any input lag that you can receive. Also, I want you to look at the ground right now. The shadows are a lot more stable on preset K on DLSS balance than they were on performance. Power consumption didn't go up too much. It's still at about 400. GPU temp is in the mid 60s, which is great. VRAM temp is around 70. That's okay as well. And in this section, we're going to just max out multi-frame generation 4x mode. And that basically doubled the frame rate, or close to double the frame rate from where it was at before. We're getting close to 200 frames per second. GPU power consumption is at about the same. Temperatures are about the same as well. VRAM is looking really good. It's been looking good so far. 13 gigs. 1% low is at about 160, 150 right now. Latency is in the mid 40s, so that's still pretty good. Even as it peaks at about 52 milliseconds or so, that's still better than DLAA, which got up to about 70 milliseconds of input lag. So there's really just no situation where I'd want to use DLAA over any of the other tools that come with an RTX 50 series card, because the input lag alone is a turn off for me. So the next thing we're going to do is taking a look at our cinematic versus very high on shadows. First, this is all cinematic right here. And if you take a look at the shadows, we're going to compare that in about a second to very high, which will give us a couple extra frames per second. So that's one of the first things I always look for to adjust on a Unreal Engine 5 game. If we do shadows very high and apply the change there, we were at about 68, 69 frames per second. Now we moved up to about 71. So that's about 5% extra performance that you can get just from, using very high on shadows. And as you can see, really not much of a difference at all. Global illumination is another setting that I tend to just try to see if I can adjust, but in this game it doesn't really make much of a difference as far as performance if you reduce it from cinematic quality to very high. So we're just going to leave this at the cinematic preset as far as global illumination. And lastly here, this is playing with the frame rate cap on at 152, and this is on a 160 hertz 4K monitor. And our latency, and this is again everything preset, but shadows at very high. Latency is at about the mid 40s. 1% lows are usually at around 80 on any game that I play. And frame time is extremely smooth, no issues here. And so this is the sweet spot for me. And with that said, I hope you guys got something out of this video. And please do like and subscribe, and I look forward to catching you guys on the next one. Peace.
Report to Lord Lingstry quickly. The monkeys! What should I do now? Someone dared. Wukong, how dare you interrupt my meditation? Stand down. Some flesh. Oil on the patrol.